Dutch funded.
They are Dutch funded. Very good. The Results Incubator is, who knows a Guy Jones? All right. Does anyone sit there at their desk wondering, what does a Guy Jones do? He gets to live in Johannesburg. That's not fair. There's so many vineyards in South Africa, and I am stuck in D.C. Okay, we have Virginia vineyards, but is that quite comparable? So, a Guy Jones, and so just so you know what he's doing in lovely Johannesburg all the time, he heads up the Results Incubator. Does anyone remember the Results Initiative? You can never remember what to capitalize and not capitalize? This is the follow-up of the Results Initiative, and what they do, they're made up of 12 countries in the Southern Africa region, and they focus on capacity building and system strengthening in order to ultimately be better at social marketing. And they did a huge survey and to all their 12 countries that said, what are the things that you truly need help with? You feel like you're at 0 and you want to get to 60. And all the countries say, you know, we feel pretty confident about a variety of things, but what we really are fish out of water on are contracts and supply chain. So a guy called me right as I was at the depths of exhaustion and said, hey, you want to do a regional training? I said, how many countries is that? 12 countries. I can do 12 countries and knock it out, and I won't have to go to them individually. Sweet, I'm in. Let's do that. And so we got the RI training, and this was the Capacity Building team's first big project. As a team, we worked together and put together a week-long training on procurement, forecasting, and inventory management. And then Kat and I, Kat, you want to say that? This is the lovely Kat Lopekine. She came with me and along with a few contracts representatives, and we held a week-long workshop. And the emphasis of this workshop was fully based on the idea of adult learning theory. Can anyone tell me what adult learning theory is besides Taylor? Since I know about half of this room has used adult learning theory. Lily, what's adult learning theory?
There are different techniques to be able to deliver effective and impactful training to people. So it could be anywhere from using games to kind of the different type of delivery methods, just different techniques specialized at adult learning versus kind of, I don't know what other learning there is, but other learning.
Yeah.
How many of you like sitting in a classroom and having a teacher lecture at you? Do you feel like that's the best way to learn? Probably not. So what the fine people at the L&P department did, Learning and Performance Department, see?
Thank you.
Said, okay, let's completely innovate how PSI learns. So this was an opportunity for the RI team and our functional departments to apply adult learning theory so that people could walk away not just with definitions and homework, but they could walk away with a network, a better understanding of how to communicate, with whom to communicate, and a real chance to practice what we preached. And some of the subjects, like I said, we covered inventory management, procurement, and forecasting, but we really got into it. So imagine, who's been to a warehouse of PSI? Were you 100% totally impressed, thinking, this is the most stellar, cleanest thing I've ever seen in my life? Probably not, right? You probably couldn't even find the bin card amongst all the dust. And if you were in Pakistan, all the bird poop. So what we did was we said, here's how you do it. Here's how you actually can create this warehouse. It's not that hard. You know, you just really have to want to do it, right? And in procurement, we did the same thing. We said, don't be scared of contracts. Don't be scared of Article 5 of, Contract X. Here's what it means, and let's practice it. And it was a huge success. It was it created a relationship between the field and Washington, which is something I think we can all agree sometimes lacks, especially in the areas of functional departments where traditionally we have not been required to have a relationship with the field. And it also, I think, maybe even more importantly, created a network and an opportunity for countries to communicate with each other, which is something that even more than the Washington field relationship isn't always thought of warehouse to warehouse, procurement department to procurement department. Pat, do you want to add anything?
Sure. Actually, let's go to the next slide. So there was a lot of momentum that kind of was built up after the RI conference. We believed it was really successful. Countries were already talking about it. They were sharing stories back with their program managers or their CRs. And then as news spreads in PSI, other departments or regions were getting interested. And so Brian was the first to sort of pledge his own money and say, I want this for my region. Put together a training in the same style, format, and content, and come to my region and do the same thing and get the same kind of people at this. So Jasmine and I went. We sort of tailored what we were working with from RI, and we went to Thailand. We met. There was about 25 participants from 11 countries, and it was great because the thing about these trainings is it's involving people who are not traditionally invited to trainings or retreats at PSI. So you're getting procurement officers or procurement managers or warehouse officers, invited to travel and make the voyage to meet with all their colleagues and counterparts from other countries. So it was a really, there was just a lot of energy and excitement at these trainings. And I think